And Trump, will he be prepared for the meeting? Trust me, we'll do just fine. And I might even end up having a good relationship, but they're going, will President Trump be prepared? You know, President Putin is KGB and this and that. You know what? Putin's fine. He's fine. We're all fine with people. Will I be prepared? Totally prepared. I've been preparing for this stuff my whole life. They don't say that. They don't say that.
The White House today confirmed that President Trump will be speaking one-on-one with Russian President Vladimir Putin during their July 16th summit in Finland. The administration says the president will, quote, continue to hold Russia accountable for its malign activity. The official said that could include election interference as well as Russia's military activities in Ukraine. But once the two men are alone, there's no telling what really will be discussed. There's no plan to have a note taker. Anyone else in that room? This week, a delegation of Republican senators, seen here, traveled to Moscow to meet with the Russian foreign minister and his staff. They said they were there to help lay the groundwork for the upcoming summit. The Washington Post reports the Republicans sounded a, quote, newly conciliatory tone in their meetings with the Russians. The paper quotes one Russian official as saying the meeting was one of the easiest ones in my life. Here's how one of the Republican senators who was in that delegation described the talks.
It was a productive visit. We sent a very strong message and a direct message to the Russian government. First of all, don't interfere in U.S. elections.
Earlier this evening on this network, former CIA Director John Brennan said he's worried about the senator's Moscow visit and what it could mean for the Trump-Putin sit-down.
The perception is that they are giving in at this point to the Russians to just pave the way for the Trump-Putin summit. By having this delegation out in Moscow right now, it's not sending a signal to Russia that there are going to be costs to pay for any type of, continued interference. It's going to be, we're going to forgive and forget.
Malcolm Nance is a longtime U.S. Armed Forces veteran of intelligence and counterterrorism. He joins us tonight. His latest book, The Plot to Destroy Democracy, How Putin and His Spies Are Undermining America and Dismantling the West, debuted at number 9 on the New York Times bestsellers list. And Brian Bennett is a senior White House correspondent for Time magazine. Welcome to both of you. Malcolm, we knew there was a rally tonight, but that one was popcorn worthy. It was unusual. The president saying he's been prepared for this all his life and we'll do just fine. He does not seem to be heading into this meeting with the seriousness that a lot of people think it deserves.
No, he sort of has this Chamberlain-esque attitude towards Russia where he's just going to lay down. I mean, we already know that based on his past statements. And he's correct. He has been preparing his entire life for this. I mean, he went to the Soviet Union in 1987 trying to get Trump hotels. We know that he was taking Russian money and was, selling real estate to them for years. We also know that in 2013, he met with the top 12 Russian oligarchs and received their version of events for over 2 hours, and since that time has been spouting it. And quite honestly, Donald Trump is going there to meet with his handler. I mean, he's going to meet with a guy that he has been worshiping and admiring for years, not just the last 2 years. And that doesn't bode well for the United States. I think he's going to lay down on this one, and I think that if they will raise Russian sanctions within months, if not just by executive fiat.
Brian, there are legitimate concerns about the relationship between Donald Trump and the Russians, the relationship between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. With that cloud that continues to be over the president's head, why have a meeting in which no one else will be present?
Well, it was really interesting that the White House is so direct, saying that only the two men will be in the room, obviously with translators if they want to have that to make it easier for them to converse. Donald Trump has said during the campaign and since he was elected that he wants to try to have a better relationship with Russia and a better relationship with Vladimir Putin in particular. And Donald Trump puts a lot of stake in his ability to develop a personal rapport with someone, and he wants to have that time by himself with Vladimir Putin to try to break through the tensions that have bedeviled U.S.-Russian relations for the last decade, especially in the Putin era, as Russia has been backsliding on democratic values and invaded Crimea and been a bad actor in Syria. And so Donald Trump believes that he can fix it, and he is going to be able to sit in the room with Putin and come to a new way of the U.S. interacting with Russia.
But, you know, Malcolm, the president says things like Putin's fine, Putin's just fine. Journalists have died in Russia. Political opponents have died. Political opponents have been jailed. You know, George Will has written a column about this summit, and he said if Trump's summit with Kim could foretell catastrophe with Putin, he said if he does as badly in his July 16th meeting with Vladimir Putin in Finland as he did with Kim Jong-un in Singapore, the consequences could be catastrophic. It is kind of remarkable. The president continues to downplay not just the effect that Russia has had in interference in other elections, but the idea that Vladimir Putin's okay and he's a good guy to befriend.
Yeah, and Donald Trump, obviously, in some way, shape, or form that is yet to be determined, is in debt to Vladimir Putin. Today, he normalized the KGB. He spoke as if being a KGB officer, a career officer, their motto was once KGB, always KGB. He runs that country with 4 top advisors who are ex-KGB, and he murders people. He invades our allies. He subverts American democracy, and Donald Trump today normalized him just as he normalized the Nazis in Charlottesville. This is very dangerous for American democracy. And to have 7 Republican senators go there to pave the way in this grand appeasement of Moscow only shows the Republican Party has surrendered to Russia. And this will hurt this American constitutional republic seriously. John Brennan was absolutely right.
Let's listen to something else John Brennan said a little earlier this evening about both Donald Trump's approach to North Korea and Russia.
Mr. Trump is dealing away, whether it be